Hello and welcome. I am Arumba. Thank you for joining me. This is Arumba's Assay number 2. We're going to talk about Mali here. The year is currently 1674. It's September the 1st. And this save comes from a gentleman named Julius. He wants to say that he has an Iron Man save game for Mali. Long-term aim for the play is to create a dominant trade empire. In the short term, he's been pulled into a war with Great Britannia due to the Gibraltar claim on his ally. He's afraid to lose the war. The war is currently negative, and he finds it to be unacceptable that he might lose cores in Africa. Doesn't want to have clay given to the Brits. So let's first off take a look around the world a little bit, just see how he's doing. We are Mali. We are in 6th place. Pretty darn good. He's got a lot of colonization going on here. Check this out. He's got New Mali. He's got Islamic Brazil. He's got New Joma. And he's very close, it looks like, to having a colonial nation over here in Australia as well. This colony here is about to complete. So, I have a few notes, a couple things to talk about here. I'm going to try to play this a little bit, see if I can actually resolve the war for him, and then just like kind of show him how I would handle it. But there's a number of things that I would like to talk about. First off, let's take a look at the economy here. I have some concerns about the way that this war is being handled, and I feel like hopefully, Julius, don't take offense to this if you're watching. I kind of feel like this may be a bit of newer player panic about losing a war, because looking at the balance, I think his economy's really good most of the time, but right now he's paying 25 ducats a month to be over the force limit, and this is the part that's kind of terrifying to me. If we look at this army, we've got mercs while we have manpower. I understand the need for temporary troops, but we have a lot of mercs, and most importantly, we have merc cav and merc cannons. Oh my god, merc cannons. Okay, so let me just explain why merc cannons are awful, and merc cav. The primary purpose of mercenaries, there's really only two. Number one is hiring quickly. If you can't afford to wait, then mercs hire in 1/4 of the time of a regular troop. So that's one of the primary advantages. Secondary advantage, and really I probably put these in the wrong order, the secondary advantage is that they have an infinite manpower pool. They exist to augment your manpower pool. The problem with merc cav and merc cannons is that if you are deploying them properly, they never take casualties, which means their primary purpose, giving you more manpower, can't be used. And on top of that, you pay, look at this, the maintenance for a cav is 2.36 ducats per month. It is insane. The mercenary maintenance for a cannon is almost 3 ducats a month. You compare that to a regular cannon or a regular cav, and it's just, I mean, look at this. We got 2.36 versus 0.94. And on top of that, we have manpower. So it's just this is killing the economy right now. And then of course, as well, being over the force limit. Again, this kind of, I think, boils into a newer-ish player panic button thing here, where you feel like you have to put together an army to fight, but going 14 over the force limit, the way that the math works is that you take 101 divided by 87, and then that, whatever the percentage is, that ratio that you're over the force limit for your land troops, that's the percentage you pay in increased maintenance cost on all of your troops, including the original 87 that you were allowed to build. So that's why we're spending so much money to be over the force limit. Okay, next thing is actual army composition itself. We talked about this a bit with the Russia save that was submitted last, but even in a war like this, I can't see having more than 8 cav. I would still personally have 4, because we're probably only going to have 1 primary combat stack. Maybe you could justify having 2. You could have 1 here and 1 here. But looking at Mali and the national ideas that we have infantry combat ability as a bonus. We don't have any real justification to be pushing for more cav. And sure, there's a nice big shock multiplier on there, but if you take these two numbers and average them together, it's 1.75. They're barely better than infantry. And when you factor in the infantry combat ability of Mali, really, the infantry, for their price, are 3 times better, or 2.5 times better than a cav. On top of that, they're just more efficient overall for keeping an army standing to protect colonies, or for putting down revolt risk. Like, you can just have more troops for the money. So first thing we're going to do is, I need to fix this economy. I understand it's a temporary thing, and it wasn't a request. The request was, how do we win this war? And we will win this war, but we don't need to do this to win this war. So first things first, I noticed that this player likes to use the native repression policy, which is okay. I personally prefer native coexistence because I find having to ship troops around to be really, really frustratingly obnoxious. Also knowing that the AI never has those types of rebellions just kind of pisses me off and makes me not want to have to deal with them either. Unfortunately, it looks like his navy got massacred by the Brits, so he must have had transports at some point to get these troops over there. But for now, I'm going to just start disbanding some of these troops. We're going to get rid of the cav that are on the islands over here to save a little bit of cash. I'm not going to disband the cannons because the cannons are more expensive to build, and I actually want these cannons to come back home at some point. But the drawback to having to defend your colonies is that he does have to park these armies on every colony, and it is pretty frustrating. So there's those. That helps a little bit. Already we're going to be in a better spot, only paying 13 ducats a month now to be over the force limit. Let's head back to our other armies. We've got 34,000 here. Let's just cycle through all of them. We've got troops down here as well. Again, parking a cav on every single place is just not necessary. The math you can do on colony uprisings, you see how it says natives 1,000? Whatever this number is the number of regiments you'll end up fighting. So if this army, if this native uprising were to happen, they're going to rise up with one stack of infantry. So at most, you really only need like 2 infantry, 1 to tank it, 1 to flank it, and then you're good. You do not need a 5 stack to protect this province. So I'll go down, no cannon, no cav. And this is overkill for protection, unless you're trying to protect against like the Brits coming over here and sieging it. But also, I noticed that one of the colonies was nearly complete within a few ticks. This one, no reason to leave the settler here. It's going to be complete within 2 months anyway, so we might as well recall and then send. I'm assuming, based on the colonial plays that he's been making, that we're going to want to colonize again down here to make this colonial nation. So let's just go ahead and let 1 day pass just so we can send that colonist. We'll send him here. Takes him almost a year and a half to get there. He's running 4 colonies at once. Personally, if your economy is not doing well, I would not recommend running that extra colony. He's got 3 colonists, so he's paying an extra 2 ducats to run the 4th colony. Granted, he's got a lot of colonial nations, and that's doing well for him. But here's my problem with it, is that 4th colony, without the colonist, will take easily twice as long to grow to full size. And it's just, I don't find it to be worth the extra cash, the extra money. On top of that, and this is a big thing, I don't know why, but he's got no tariffs. He has either manually reduced them or used events to reduce the tariffs down to 0%. And one of the primary advantages to colonial nations is the money. The money, and then the force limit that you get from the fact that they exist. See how we get New Mali, New Joma, Islamic Brazil. That works for both naval and for land. And on top of that, you get the extra merchants. So I would definitely not be looking to lower the tariffs. If anything, I want to take the tariffs as high as I can without crippling their economy. So there's a lot to talk about with this save, but let's get back to what he actually wants me to answer. So we've got a few more troops we need. We just have to get down to our force limit. We cannot afford to go into debt for this, and we're already 2,000 ducats in debt right now, on track to take another loan this month. So there's a lot to do here. One thing we can do is that if we don't see any actual combat coming up here in the next couple of days, like we've got an Aragonese army here, heading down this way. No, it's actually heading north. I'm going to do this. We're not going to try to fight that army. We don't want to fight. We're going to head back this way toward our capital. This army is going to keep going north because that's where the war goal is. These mercs I'm okay with keeping, but we're going to get rid of some of these cav here. Let's get rid of whatever cav don't have any drill. So let's first start off by pulling the cav. Wish this would just sort them by drill. Get rid of you and you. Heck, I'm going down to 4. Whatever. Screw the drill. Let's go 6 more cav. We are now below the force limit. So suddenly we're only losing 20 ducats a month, which is much more reasonable. We have our best leader here, I assume. Let's put the secondary leader here. Let's go with, looking at our ruler and our heir, we probably... He's got pretty average stats, and I do like the expansionist personality trait, but I would probably still make this guy into a ruler, just to see if we can get rid of that weak claim. I don't like weak claims, personally. The fact that we have no advisors is a big concern. I think you should always, always, always at least be running a level 1 advisor, pretty much no matter what. That payoff is tremendous. We have no promoted cultures, which I think is possibly also a slight mistake. That's something we want to do. Okay, going down the list. Maritime Ideas. We've got exploration, expansion, trade into economic, and now we're going into maritime. It was just recently unlocked, but none have been taken. I would personally abandon this, and I would go for an offensive idea group. Now, I know that we're not really doing super great on staying ahead of time in military tech, but here's the thing. Every idea you take in the military idea group list reduces the cost of future military technologies by 1%. So you finish this idea group, you save 7% on every military tech for the rest of the game. 7% of 600 is going to be 42 points. So over the course of 10 techs, you're saving 400 military points. Like, you save a tremendous amount by taking these ideas. And we need more than just administrative and diplomatic. We have to have balance. On top of that, we'll unlock even more policies if we go with a defensive or military idea group of some type. And as I mentioned, defensive. I would recommend defensive here. I think that defensive is the most appropriate for this character, this country, because we need army tradition, we need more morale, we need some meat behind our troops. And defensive will give us the morale to offset some of the other countries, while also giving us reduced costs with the land maintenance modifier, more movement speed to patrol this large area, and reduce attrition, more attrition for enemies, all that kind of stuff. The policies that we would get by taking defensive they're all right. I mean, I probably wouldn't be activating too many of those. Maybe the Armed Neutrality Act after getting ahead of time on military tech for the extra merchant and better trade steering. But anyway, I would not take maritime here. I think maybe the goal with maritime was to be able to compete with Great Britain, but the way you compete with Great Britain is by just having more money than them and having a better land army. If you have more money, it doesn't matter what naval ideas they have, you'll still be able to beat them. All right, next, we can invite a scholar. Definitely think we should do this. The only one we're allowed to invite is a merchant, but this gives us a merchant for 20 years, which is really good. For 50 admin points, I would recommend that we do this. Having the merchant's really good. Speaking of merchants and trade, this is the big hurdle that he needs to overcome, is that Kilwa is stealing all of his money. This is the primary target. There's 41 ducats being consumed coming from India that he is not being able to get. So primary focus should definitely be on Kilwa. No claims on Kilwa, no spy network on Kilwa. We need to go murder Kilwa. Kilwa must die. And then after that, we want to keep working our way around this coastline, picking up estuaries and making more trade companies, etc. Okay, next, looking at this. This is not worth turning on ever unless turning it on gives you the merchant. Having it on is giving us inflation every year and only increasing trade power by a tiny bit, not even close to enough to justify it. So we're going to turn that off. And then this one is at 10%. Again, don't turn this on unless it gives you the merchant. So you've got to be like 40, 49%. Or 45%, and then you turn it on and you get the merchant, and then it's justifiable. But without the merchant, there's just, you can't do this. And you can see that the effect from the inflation is relatively high. By turning those off, instead of having our inflation increase, we can have our inflation decrease. And inflation is eating into the economy pretty heavily right now. I would even consider buying it down if we weren't so far behind on admin tech. Okay. So let's just go assign this merchant somewhere. I'm assuming we are collecting in our capital node. Good, yes. We have a lot of merchants. Not really going to worry too much about placement, but I do think we want to send one to here, the new guy. All right, let's go deal with this war. This is the next big topic here. How do you win a war that you're losing? Let's assess this from a strategic point of view here. Great Britain's war exhaustion, or war enthusiasm, excuse me, is at 12. What that means is that if we had at least 12 individual war score with Great Britain, we could white peace. Separately, we could get out. Now, looking at his enthusiasm, he's got 5 from holding his capital, 6 from length of war, which goes down every month. Relative strength of the alliance gives him +3, but he also feels that his own military is slightly weakened. But he's not super keen on staying in this war for very much longer. Looking at the war score, 13 of it is coming from Gibraltar. The rest of it is just really small occupations for the most part. Granada at the very bottom there is occupied by Aragon. Now, Gibraltar is a non-fort province, and there are no forts in the way preventing us from getting to it. So what we're going to do is just beeline straight to Gibraltar, occupy it for 1 month, and then we're going to look to white peace with Great Britain. Honestly, you guys know how I play. He's got 95 trust, 41 favors with Tlemcen, but if I have to choose between Tlemcen suffering and me suffering, it's going to be Tlemcen. I'm going to hang him out to dry. I'm going to white peace as soon as I possibly can, because this war is BS, and I do not want to be in it at all. This war just is rough. So, again, this army composition is so cavalry heavy, but I'm going to hold on to it because we're below the force limit, and these mercs are killing me, but let's send these troops north, and let's go ahead and play for a little bit. So we're going to go to Ceuta. We're going to hope that we can get across the strait if they aren't blockading it, but let's let some time pass for now. So, okay, we're going to play. You know what? I actually want the secondary leader here, just in case they decide that they want to try to fight us. This army is actually going to head up to here. Try to prevent this army from coming in behind us. Supply is pretty low. Suffering some attrition in this province, but that's alright. Let's go up to speed 4, just so we can actually get something done in this episode. And that was triggered by me marching the other army over there. And again, you can see what I meant. See how there's only one stack? We instantly wiped it because we I mean, we didn't even need... You don't need this many troops. 2 or 3 troops, that's all you need. Here's another example, though. Like, let's say you find a province that's got... this is probably all colonized already, right? 2,000 means that there's going to be a 2 stack, so you want to put 3 or 4 infantry. If it's got 2,500, it's going to be a 3 stack, you want to put 3 or 4 troops, etc. And that's basically all the math that you need to do. Now, he was worried that the cores down here might be taken from him, but unless they occupy the fort and cape, they can't demand anything down here. Also, Great Britain's not super interested in this land, only a couple provinces that they actually want. And if they lose the war goal, they are not going to want to stay in this for very long. So, he is going to head to Goa. We'll consider fighting Aragon. Aragon also wants to get out pretty soon. He's at 13 enthusiasm himself. Yep, he's going to do Goa. Nope, he's backing back out again, which is fine. Ah, man, there's so much. There's so much I want to talk about. So Pontiac is done, as is this one. All right, cool. Yes, back to this. We have free state slots. And I want to talk about this because this is easy, I think, to forget about or to not do. Like, we're going to get more value out of this overall, I think, if we turn on the state. Right now, without it, we're making 0.4 ducats a month without the state, but we're capped at 75% autonomy. If we turn the state slot on, it shows the maintenance is at 0.45 and the income is at 0.66, which makes you think you're losing money, right? But these numbers need to update, right? It's showing still here, local autonomy further modifies this by negative 75%, even though the autonomy is at 50%. So you just need to give it some time. And even if I'm wrong, even if the math is not quite perfect, you get the manpower. There's a lot of other variables here that you don't get with the autonomy. You get more trade power, more manpower, more sailors, more force limit. And on top of that, you can build prosperity. So if you have the state slots, I think you should use them. Move towards legalism, of course, because we need the money. And he's going to go after Cape. Let's go ahead and turn on the... Oh, this isn't even a state? Oh, it is. All right, good. Let's turn on the defensiveness edict down here. Try to hold that province for a while. Unfortunately, we had to take a loan, but we are going to hire level 1 advisors again. You can't not have level 1 advisors. And these actually all look like half-price level 2 advisors. That is a half-price level 3 advisor. Improve relations over time advisor. I'm going to take a half-price... I'm assuming he's half-price. He must be at that price. He is. I'll take the level 2 trade guy. And then, of course, we'll take the fort defense guy. Hold that down there. We're still not losing as much money. We can repay some of the initial loans. I'm going to keep this army up here, just try to keep Aragon from doing anything annoying. He's heading back to air, which is fine. Truce with Portugal is up. Truce with Portuguese Brazil is up. There's still more states, but these are pretty small. Let's go find that other one just to see if I was correct about the numbers there. We were making like 0.39, something like that. And now look, a month later, 0.82 minus 0.45, we're making 0.37 net. Without even coring it. I'm not saying you need to core it. I'm just saying make it into a state. And we're making about the exact same we had before, except we get more manpower, more trade power, more sailors, more force limit, and we can build prosperity. And we can turn on state edicts if we want to. So there's just a lot of different reasons for it. Something else I would consider, since this guy's playing a colonial nation, I feel like I need to rush to get all this in. I would probably turn on the global settler increase policy here, and depending on the trade income we have right now, let's see, so we're already at 63% increase on trade, so that means that our base income from trade is 30.43 divided by 1.63, so we're making like 18.7, 10% of that is an extra 1.87 ducats a month. So think about it like this. If we turn on this policy right here, trade efficiency goes up by 10%, which basically means for 1 diplo point per month, we can earn 1.87 more ducats. Is it worth it to convert 1 diplo point into another ducat? I would say probably, but maybe not until after we get the Kilwa trade node under control. But I would probably do this one. Global settler increase seems very reasonable to me. I'm concerned that power projection's not high enough. We don't have a... what's it called? We haven't insulted anybody, so we should find somebody that we have rivaled, that we are not at war with, that we are not truce blocked on, or we don't have an active truce on, which would be someone like Kilwa. Get our power projection back up to 48. There's nothing else we can do right this second. We are embargoing Kilwa, Great Britain. We are not embargoing Aragon. So yes, we can do something else. Let's embargo Aragon. Takes us to 49. And our army is nearly where it needs to be, but I'm concerned we're not going to be able to cross that strait. Pretty likely. He's down to 9 enthusiasm. Oh man, what can we do here? Those mercenaries, my god, 38 ducats a month. It's brutal. Just brutal. The loans are starting to add up here. Oh, that reminds me. There's another thing here. We've got the institution spread edict on. This is, I feel like, a newbie trap. Again, no offense to Julius. It's very, very rare that this is a good thing to turn on your entire country or in a large area like this, because when we look at the current institution spread for manufactories, these ones are going to take so long to embrace that you would have to keep the policy on for years. And the policy itself is only increasing spread rate by a tiny bit. It's just not worth the money to triple the state maintenance of a province like this. So I'm gonna just go ahead and turn this off in every location right now, because I just don't think that it's worth the money. Especially when you're at war. That's another factor, is that don't do this when you're at war, because we need to focus our entire economy on winning the war. Over here, we've got the trade edict on, presumably because of the Senegal estuary there. This is not a capital state. It's not our capital state, so the cost is still going to be fairly high. Fully expansionist helps. But overall, this is something to consider. Paradox loves making additive multipliers. And what that means is that we currently have trade power efficiency of 192% in this province. Turning on that trade power edict does not increase the trade power by 50%. It increases it by... Okay. If we didn't have the trade power edict on, the math would be 1.6 times 1.42, taking us to 2.272 trade power. With the policy, the math is 1.6 times 2.92, which takes us... No, sorry, it was supposed to be 1.92. So 1.6 times 1.92, which takes us to 3.072. You divide that by what it would be without the policy, 2.272, and you're only getting an increase of total trade power of 35%. It's not as good as it sounds. It's only good when you have really, really low mercantilism, or if you have a capital, like your capital state, or you have, I don't know, other things that increase your main source of trade power. I would turn it off pretty much everywhere, unfortunately. Our capital state's over here. Gold Coast, we're paying not too much. Maybe the argument can be made for the Gold Coast one. And we could save a fair bit. I'll tell you what, let's do this. We're going to turn off all of the edicts, all of the trade power edicts. I want to see what the trade power income will be after that, the next month. We're going to turn it off there, we turn it off there. Down here, I turn on defensiveness to hold that fort so that he can't demand any land from us. So that's every state has lost its edict. Now, in the capital state, because we've got this huge discount, it stacks, again, additively. Look, what? Not accepted culture in our capital? Are you serious? That can't be right. Oh, that's in Bambuk. Okay. Just one of the provinces, not accepted culture. So, fully expansionist with capital state is additive, and that means that in some provinces we're actually paying, like, literally nothing. Boer is costing us nothing. Joma, nothing. Do, nothing. So we can turn on edicts here, and it does make sense. Even if there's no estuary here, turning this on is going to increase our maintenance by like 0.2 ducats. And in a province like this, it might actually make sense. And we actually have a fair bit of trade power here. 8.2 base because it's a 41 development province. Holy crap. All right, anyway, so that's enough about that part. I guess at this point, I'm going to take a short break. Next episode, we will do one more episode at least on this campaign. We're going to resolve this war. We talked about army composition, overbuilding the force limit, having inflation be a problem by having the trade policy, this thing on, when it doesn't really give us any tangible benefit right away. Using state slots, swapping out Maritime Ideas for defensive, getting level 1 advisors no matter what, and then talking about mercs and the type of merc composition that we have. So, you know, I think I'm actually still going to disband some of these mercs. I don't think we need them, but we'll do that in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys are enjoying the campaign or enjoying this series. I'll see you again in the next episode. See you soon.